Good afternoon, everyone. And of course, I'm Lindsay Sewa, and welcome to Spiritual Infinity. And my guests, and I say guests because it's not one, it's two today,
Absolutely.
are Omar and Jessie Ferreira. And they are spiritual guides. And they're in Florida on the West Coast, East Coast. They tell me all this because I'm in
Yeah.
London. And I said, am I going to remember that? But they're going to tell you where they're from and what they're doing. And they're going to tell you their story of how they connected to their spirituality, where it started, what they went through, so that all of you all around the world, we're all going through different things. And hopefully you will resonate with them and it will help you in your journey, in your life to find peace, happiness and light. So without much ado, welcome Omar and Jessie.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate you entertaining us for this time.
Our pleasure.
Invitation. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why we're here, sharing our story and sharing the reasons why we do what we do, because it's looking for people like you who are able to connect. So thank you very much for having us.
My pleasure, absolutely.
Uh,
So today, tell us your story.
Sure. So, our concept starts at the ASQ podcast. It actually stands for A Soul's Quest. And one of the things that we want to bring into the world is that we have become one-sided in the way that we view the world, the universe, and our place in it. We become very logical. We become very brainy, and we have lost what our ancestors and what all traditions and all mythologies have trying to teach us, which is the hero's journey, that spiritual quest to find out who we are, and from that point, live from that point. So, I'll start with my story, and then I'll pass it up to Jessie. So, I had my first real realization with spirituality back in college. When I was in college, I had a really difficult time. Not because I didn't achieve the physical things. I set goals, have achieved my goals. I was an 18-year-old living by myself, my own apartment, working, going to school. But there was a big emptiness inside, and that kind of drove me into a questing for the spiritual. And again, I'll put that into quotations because we think spirituality is something that is out there, right? Separate from, but it's actually something that is everything. So there is a redefinition of what spirituality really means that we need to start really truly investigating. So at that age, I really started looking into things outside of my culture. I grew up in a Catholic Christian world. But at that early age, I started really learning about mythology from Joseph Campbell, psychology from Carl Jung, understanding those things, really diving into my Caribbean culture, which is a really interesting mixture of mythologies because there's mythologies from obviously Catholicism, but there's also a lot of Eastern African influence that we really don't understand in the mythology of Western Africa. And understanding those dynamics drove me into learning more. For a couple of years, we both studied at the Kabbalah Center, learning about the Jewish life. What is Kabbalah? What does it mean? And all those things. So my life from a very young age has been a quest and a struggle to find that. And that ultimately led me to conceptualize a soul's quest 4 years ago as a small idea, which is now developing into something more cohesive and more evolved. And the idea of a soul's quest is that it's to be able to find that those things, to recognize the patterns, learn from our experiences, to truly find our identity and living from that identity. So that's in a nutshell what we do. And then we could get more into that. So I just want to tell you a little bit of my story, and then I'll give it up to Jessie so she could tell you a little bit about hers. Oh, question.
Question. You said about your background and your upbringing, and you said West Africa. Which part of West Africa?
So I was born in Dominican Republic, and Dominican Republic is an interesting place. I've been the first place in which the European, African, and Native cultures came together, and there's an interesting mix of different mythologies. Some are overly, the Catholic part is the overwhelming part, but
Yeah.
underneath it, you have a lot of the underground movement in terms of how the Western Africans maintain their spirituality, but clothed in the Western religion.
Yeah.
So you could have a goddess from the Western mythology, clothed into Saint Anne,
Yeah.
and the symbolism of the Great Mother, which is the cohesiveness across all mythologies, symbolized in different ways. So it's interesting. Caribbean cultures are unique cultures because there are really a blend of all these different traditions,
Yeah.
and because we the issues as humanity as we evolved kind of like creates an interesting mixture
Yeah.
of and a robust mixture of what it is to be mythology and what it is to be spiritual. So
Yes.
I was very fortunate to be brought up in an environment that was very diverse, plus
Okay.
also, and although it was very systemic, it allowed me to explore other things, which I'm very thankful for.
Okay. Thank you for that.
No
Okay.
problem.
Self. It's interesting how I kind of fell into A Soul's Quest, the ASQ podcast. It's for me, I'm more of in this duo, I'm the more practical person. He's the more philosophical person. So I try to take everything that he talks about, everything that encompasses ASQ, and I put it in practical terms. And so for me, and how I sort of came across this, because I'm more new in terms of, I guess, my journey, my quest, is that I had been living life the way that I thought I was supposed to be living life. I was very much dictated by um, my by societal expectations, by my surroundings. So I did the things I was supposed to do. I worked, I went to school. I got a terminal degree. I was, very ambitious in my work and really looking for ways to perform so that there would be reciprocity, right? I would give, and so then I would receive.
Yeah.
And so that's when, I went to school and I got my terminal degree and I was doing everything that I thought I was supposed to be doing. But there was this kind of tug of war type thing where I was giving, and I wasn't getting anything in return. And it was really starting to open my eyes. And of course, having a partner such as Omar, a lot of the philosophical, existential questions were starting to come to me. And I started realizing that I was contributing to something that wasn't going to be contributing back to me. And I was forgetting, or I guess maybe losing myself or my identity to this cause, right? And so for me, it was really just the simplest way to put it is like, I just felt like I was hit with a ton of bricks and jolted back into what is really reality for me. I thought I was living reality, but I realized that wasn't the life that I was supposed to be living. And so for me, while this is a more newer experience, it's new in terms of, it's like having this veil lifted off of your face. And now you're experiencing things from this completely different perspective, which is really, really foreign for me. It's almost like being a baby and like an infant in this new world of mine that we're creating, where Omar has been here for years. I'm now like, oh my gosh, what I thought was my life is not really my life. And so from the practical sense, for A Soul's Quest, it's a really great dynamic because we play off of each other, and I can actually literally walk through guiding people, individuals that are going through the same things, and having this eye-opening experience that's really beautiful and terrifying at the same time. That's pretty much.
Let me
Sure.
just stop there, because I need you to. You said something jolted you. What was it that jolted you to say, hold on, I'm not happy, this is not right.
So it's funny because we talk about this all the time. It literally, when I say jolted, it sounds so strong, right? But for me, it was just this very intense voice in my body.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel good. It's really difficult to explain, but I think when you're in the midst of all these doors are closing in on me, nothing is working out. I went to school. I got a doctorate. I did everything that I could to perform at work, and I'm not being acknowledged. I'm not being compensated. Family and friends are turning on me. It's like you're outgrowing the person that you thought you were. It's a weird thing to try to explain, but I think you feel it so deeply in your body that you just know. And that's the jolt that I'm talking about. And that's the breakdowns, the crying, the, oh my God, what's going on with me? I mean, there were so many instances where I felt that and I tried to suppress it. I really did. I was like, no, I don't want to go through this. I can't go through this. I don't want to do this. But I knew at that, when I was jolted, I knew I have to face this. I have to invite this person into my life and remember who I am, right?
Yeah.
And connect with this essence, which is something else that we talk about that is within all of us, right?
Yeah.
And we forget because society tries to formulate what your life is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And so that's the jolt for me.
I'm so glad I asked that question. You explained that, because all over the world, people are going through different things and they're not sure what they're feeling, how they should be feeling, what is happening to them. And when they hear what you've just said, and it's all different from everybody, but I'm sure people will resonate and say, my God, that's how I've been feeling. Because we hold it in. We think there's something wrong with us because society says, this is the way, that is the way, I've done this, I've done that. What else is there? I'm not right. There's something wrong with me because I've got done everything right. And it's nothing wrong with you. Mm-hmm. Actually, there is something wrong with you, that you're not coming from your true self, and it wants to get out, and you're not on the path you want. Omar, I know you spoke about you, but what was your jolt? I know you went to school and you did this and you did that, but what was your because sometimes it comes from the past and you're keeping on going. What was your jolt that forced you?
So
because I know it's an uncomfortable thing.
Yeah. No. I mean, she explained it perfectly, and
for men, it's
more challenging for men because of social conditioning that we go through and what we're expected to be and how we are expected to be. So there's a lot of things that she said. So I want to kind of like break it down into a couple of things so that it's understood. So because I want people to understand, number one, that we have to normalize what Jessie just talked about and what we're feeling inside. We have to make that normal, because this is what, in mythological terms, it's called the call to the adventure. Right. So when we read religion and we read all these different stories, what Joseph Campbell talked about really is the path that we need to follow in order to find that essence. The reasons why a Soul's Quest came about is because, like I mentioned earlier, my first experience going through this process happened when I was younger. So from that point, I'd explored different mythologies, different religions, different spirituality, different concepts. And I was able to go into a career in which I was able to guide young people in terms of like helping them set values and goals and helping them become self-reliant. So that was my career. And I did that for over 15 years. And then I came into a point in which my second dissolution happened because I did all the work. I excelled at it. But yet I was still getting that friction and not in alignment and feeling the conflict, and then seeing things changed around me that I didn't agree with because I felt that it went against the core of who I was. So at that point, working so hard for so long, excelling, and then having to have that disillusion, that was the catapult to help me to start conceptualizing the source quest and then creating something. Because this is the interesting things that happen. And again, it's very easy to condemn society, right? But society, like anything else, is a composite of people.
Yeah.
We are the ones that truly decide. So for those people that are feeling this despair, right? For those people that are going to sleep at night, waking up at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with the sweats, with the, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't know what to do. What is going on? I just don't want to be here. But you have this yearning to find out and do something. That's your call. That's not something to be avoided. When you avoid that, that's when bad things happen. You know, when you don't want to face that pain, and we live in a global society that it's adverse to challenge, right? And I always quote the Quran when it comes to this. The Quran has this line: "How dare you think you're going to enter the garden of bliss without facing the trials as those that came before you?" Right? And how dare you think you're going to reach, where you reach without going through what Moses went to in the desert, spending your 40 days and 40 nights like Christ did, right?
Yes.
Sitting on the Bodhi tree and facing all these trials like the Buddha did. Like right? And you go into every single culture, every single mythology, that person had to go through so many trials to achieve their identity, right? So we can be afraid of that. The problem happens in which, personally speaking, I the way that I found all this was through books, through reading, people that came across us. And if you're open to it and you're willing to face the trials, then you begin to come to your identity. And that's the thing. Now, your identity is something that cannot be explained. It cannot be given. You have to experience it. It has to be like this thing, because you could go to a place, a guru or someone, and then be able to tell you, oh, this is it. And then you begin to idolize somebody. That's not what we want. We don't need that. I'm not a guru. I teach what I've learned, right? So what I've experienced, and that's what we do from experience. So that's one of the caveats that I always tell people. And that's why we don't use the word coaching. We use the word guiding, because we've walked it. We've seen the pain, the suffering, the crying, the disillusionment, the lack of sleep, the frustration, the challenges of life, the challenges of not fitting in, the challenging seeing that you see everything differently all of a sudden. And you feel that there's something wrong with you. You have tried psychotherapy, it hasn't worked. You have done all this stuff, it hasn't worked, and you still feel that emptiness. So that's the gap, and that's the place that we found ourselves in, sharing. But we had to walk it. We had to live it,
I'm so glad what you've just said, especially when you've quoted Buddha, you quoted the Quran, and even Jesus. And it's the same way I feel. They all came at different times to show us what we need to do. And I'm so glad that you pointed out that all these went through, Moses went through, and all those people have achieved things they had to go through. And they went through because this is the part of our growth. This is the part. It's like taking a piece of coal and having to chip it away until you get to the diamond. It's like taking a gold nugget in the dirt and you have to clean out everything, and it has to go through smelting and everything before it comes to this beautiful metal. And whatever there is in this earth is a process for it to go through, for it to come to the beauty of what you see.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give you a quick example, a quick metaphor that I came across, right? Because you mentioned quite a few things that are very interesting, right? Because our lives, right, on average, we live human beings right currently on our time, we live an average of 70, 75 years, right?
Yeah.
That's our time span on Earth, right?
Yeah.
Now, our time is completely different than the time with all those people that are mentioned.
Yeah.
It's completely different time. It's not the same. The issue with religion is that we're still focusing on the past, right, without understanding the essence of what they're teaching.
Teaching.
What they're teaching is the process. Jesus is not something to adore, and it's not blasphemous to say this. It is
No.
something to emulate. It is something to follow his life, what he did, and then you'll be able to come to an acceptance. Because he says that, you will do greater things that I
Yes.
can, right? It's all set. It's there, but it's our interpretation and our over the reliance or not trusting what's inside of us, right? So here's one of the things that I will tell people. Our current time is a very technologically advanced time, right?
Yeah.
So I tell people when I do speaks, when I teach, when I do my group sessions, I tell them, think of cobalt, right? Cobalt is one of the most essential minerals in our time.
Yeah.
Right? It operates everything from our phones, technology, microchips, microprocessors. We need it to maintain our current time. But at one point, the word cobalt, it was like evil spirits.
Yeah.
It was thrown aside because it didn't have any, it didn't provide anything, right? So when you're looking at that, when you're understanding that point of view, you begin to see that you need to go through that process of changing to make sure that you are transforming and being useful. And what I say is you got to find your point of expression in the here and now, because
Yes.
that calling to feel that pain, that suffering, is calling you to understand your experiences, to understand your transformation, so that you could make a impact and live from that point of expression in the here and now, not in the past, in the here and now. So we are all essential. We are all important, right? How can I say that? Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be here right now.
Thank you. Thank you. So true. So true. We are all important. We were created by the Creator for a reason. And each one of us has our own gift to impart. But if we don't understand who we are, and if we don't make that connection to that inner voice, inner power, and connect to the source of all is, we won't bring out that. And this is why we're suffering. Or this is why some of us are still sleeping and think, oh, it's this, it's not. We are all important. We all have a journey to take, and we're all here for a reason.
That's the thing that is the most, when I was talking about the being jolted, that's my experience now, is that going through this process of now identifying who am I, right? It's one of the questions, it's one of the most important questions, but I don't think we ask it often, enough. I mean, I didn't. I was a mother. I was a daughter. I am, I was all these things. I am a wife. I am, but who am I at my core? What is it? What is it in my essence that makes Jessie who she is? And what is my contribution? And I'm still trying to figure that out, which makes this this quest, I like to use quest with a soul's quest, this quest beautiful, because while Omar what Omar has done in our relationship and for other people is he is able to very eloquently describe the hero's journey and the process of going through this metamorphosis is what, this is for me. It's a transformation. And the beauty of the call to the call to the adventure. And that's where I'm at right now, that call to the adventure and going through the cycles. And it's a cycle that I'm realizing it doesn't really ever end, because you're always called to a new adventure. And that's like a weird thing that I'm learning and trying to get comfortable with, is being okay with, okay, this is happening now in my life, and going through that sort of, that process.
Yep.
And that's a beautiful process to go through, but it's painful too. And in no way, shape, or form are we going to lie to people and say, oh, this is easy. It's not for the faint of heart. You got to be ready. When you're ready, you'll know.
And the process you're going through, and which we all should be going through, but as I say, some of us are still sleeping, so we don't understand, is a constant growth. It's a constant transformation to a higher level of our consciousness. And so everything we come up to and we can understand and transform, once we've done that, we go to the next one. And I suppose not the quicker, the more we understand it, the more we embrace it, the more we step up to it, is the more we become who we really are. And that's why we've come to the earth plane. And it's a learning curve. And as you said, you're a mother, Omar, you're a father, you're a son, you're a husband, whatever. And we have all these identities for this earth plane, for the life we're living. But who we really are, our core, and very nicely said, what is our gift to share in this society? Because each one of us has a gift to share. And it is about sharing in a community to make this earth heaven on earth. Awaken to it.
Exactly. You mentioned a lot of things, and again, a lot of this is why as partners we are somewhat like function and form, right? And I want to explain that, right? Because she gives form to a lot of the functions that I mean, she gives form to a lot of the things that what I'm talking about. She makes it more practical. But what we're talking about really is about understanding what is the essence that lies underneath all the functions that we have. So we have functions, but those things come and go, right?
Yes.
You were a child once, and that stage passed, and you hold on for things from there, but then you move to a different plateau and a different level, right? So what spirituality really is, and this is one of the things that I want to be able to express across. Spirituality really is the process of evolution. That if you think about evolution is all about consciousness, right? And the more awareness, the more aware something becomes, right? From the mineral all the way to us, the more capabilities of a participation in creation we'd have, right?
Yes.
So the idea, it's practical. It's not this thing about just connecting and escaping and just feeling good. The idea, it's about feeling good while you're creating in the here and now.
Yes.
And my function, my point of expression, it's completely different than Jessie's, right? Yours is completely different, and that's the beauty. That is a diversity that we really need to be striving for, is to finding and helping people find their point of expression so they could live from that point of expression, be able to adjust and evolve as they go, so that way we as a whole begin to achieve what nirvana is, what heaven is, which is not a place somewhere. It's our consciousness, the here and now. So the way that we formulate our teachings is, number one, two, from the experimental point of view, like Jessie is expressing, and for that point of view, but also to help you intellectually make sense of what it is that's happening, right? Yeah. I do a lot of work. I work with survivors of sexual abuse, male survivors of sexual abuse as well. And that's one of the hardest things to overcome as a male. It's like when you're being physically assaulted by someone, we see that it targets your identity. So one of the works that I do is really starting with the question of, who am I? Am I the experience that happened? Am I the function that I play? Now, those are aspects of things that took place. It's like a trauma. It's like two asteroids in space colliding, right? And creating something new.
Yeah.
Right. And we have to start really reflecting on our experiences, even our traumatic experiences, as what am I gaining from this? I think of Viktor Frankl, a man's search for meaning, a man that spent every day of his life with the threat of death, finding meaning and creating something like logotherapy. I mean, you think about that. You think about all those trials. So we go and we experience those things. So our purpose, our desire, and what we want to do is to be able to guide people and normalize this journey. Normalize that it is okay to feel like the outsider.
Yeah.
It is okay to do those things because you, as the outsider, will transform your environment. Now, it doesn't have to be in this big poof, oh boom, this big transformation. Like, no, it is what you see within yourself to create, right? I can't reach 8 billion people. Impossible, right? And even the ones that reach a large number of people, not everybody likes them. Right?
Yeah,
right. So you are here to reach a certain group in a certain domain, in a certain area. You are a center of expression, not the center of expression, right? So you have to be okay and accepting that as I'm important, and what I do will affect what's environment, right? In Hinduism terms, it's called the web of Indra, the web of gems. Each gem reflects one another. So again, all these things that have been taught to us, it's all there. It's all laid out, right? But we have to be able to seek it. And what we're trying to do is to put it in a place in which people are actually, they understand that pain. Like when Jessie explained to you that loss, it's like, that's it. That's exactly it.
Everybody experiences differently. And that's where Omar and I come in, where we want to guide people through these, I guess, these eye-opening experience or these moments, right? These moments where they're just like, oh, and I think that's what makes us so human and so connected to each other, is that we're all experiencing these things in different times in our lives, right? And a lot of people don't want to admit that they're going through this. It's a shame to say, oh, I feel lost, but there are people who have been successful business owners, CEOs, people that in very high places who wake up and feel dead or that they're dying and don't know what, like, okay, I have all this success. I got the 2.5 kids or whatever they say, and a big house and a beautiful car and lots of money in the bank, but they still feel dead. Yeah, they're not happy. And that is the worst, in my opinion. It's one of the worst feelings to have, but it's one of the most beautiful feelings to have too. Because now, if you accept this quest, I like to use quest, if you accept this and go through the process, what you'll find is who you are. What you're discovering is who you are. And that's what Omar is, alluding to, that essence, that beauty that we all have to share and to be in a world that is not an easy world to be in. You know what I mean?
It's not. It is said Earth is, when you come to Earth, you're coming to do your PhD. It's tough.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
what you also pointed out, which I'm glad you have, is that whatever we feel, it is telling us what we need to do. If we feel happy, great, everything is fine. But if we're feeling down, we need to ask why we're feeling down. Our feelings are what helps us to go through and understand. And as you quite rightly said, we should not be shutting them down or hiding from it or blind eyeing it. We need to say, and I do it often, why am I feeling this way? You could wake up during the day and feel fine, and all of a sudden things are going wrong because we're all energy, something is not right. And when we acknowledge that and we look at that, we face that, we can then know and ask the question, what is it that we need to do? And it's our feelings are so important.
I always get the pushback from people telling me, why you use in this modern scientifically inclined world, why do I use a concept like the soul, right? And The soul is an interesting thing, right? And I personally like using the Greek definition of the soul, right? Which includes our biological impulses, right? The drives, the sexual drive, the drive for power, the drive for asserting who we are, right? Again, it's in the universe, nothing is inimical or damaging to us. The universe is an imperishable thing, right? It's how we apply those energies that are important. So once we understand our soul, which is comprised first of our impulses, and we all have those, we can't deny that, right? And again, impulses are not positive or negative, because the impulse that creates a child is the same impulse that causes pain in sexual abuse and things of that nature. Same energy, different application. So we have to understand those things on us. The second part is what you mentioned, which is our emotion.
Yeah.
Our emotions are a compass. They let us know where we are, right? So we have to understand how our emotions function and what is it that drive those moods when we wake up in the morning and those things. Like, we have to be able to understand that. The final part, and one of the parts that in spirituality we tend to overlook, is our capacity to reason and pay attention to something, right? So for instance, when we're feeling down about something, are we paying attention? Of course we are. We're paying attention to the negative things, right?
Yeah.
Now, every single the reasons why we pray or meditate is to put our attention into something other than that, right? So when you understand the capacity of the soul as this cohesive thing, right, that is within us, that we understand the polarity, right, the different forces and how to apply them, but we understand that everything in nature, in the universe, is cyclical, right? And we come across these points, like I have or Jessie have, in certain points in our lives in which things feel like they're falling apart, or they have falling apart. You have to realize that although you start here, right, and you feel that you're here and then you came back down, you are at the peak of the low from below. You're not all the way at ground zero.
No.
You've learned, you experiences. So now you have to be able to use those things to keep going, and understanding more about our impulses, understanding more about our desires and what we have. Because, you know, one of the fallacies that I see in modern spirituality is this idea that we have to be desireless, right? Now, you want peace, right? If you want peace, that's a desire to want peace, right? You want security. That's a desire. You can't just sit back and say nothing. The desires are important to understand. It's how do we use the desires, right?
Yes,
Without violating the rights of others,
that's right.
without causing hurt to others. And I mean totality of earth, right?
Yes.
It's a fine line between understanding those little nuances of life. And again, it's easy to blame society, but society is a composite of what we want. So we as individuals who are feeling these things, are being called to this, we can't withdraw. We can't isolate. We have to participate, because if you don't participate and you don't see the importance of who you are in the here and now, then we're going to keep getting the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I always call for people that are in this, that are feeling these things, like, and I love what you are doing, and I see your passion for it, is that you have to bring it out to the surface. You have to have the courage to be able to talk about it. For a long time, I was afraid of doing this. Oh, are they going to listen to me? Are people not going to listen to me? And now you get to a point when you start realizing your identity, and it's like, and accepting that you could only reach a certain amount of people.
That's right.
And accepting that.
That's right, because not everybody is going to connect with you. Not everybody's is at that stage where they want to listen to you. And I've said and I've said it in my podcast, but I've said it in my videos, that people need to realize that if they want the world to change, it begins with them, because they are the world. Each individual is the microcosm, and it ripples out to the macrocosm. So when we see things that are not right, we need to look at ourselves and see what we're doing, because it's a reflection of
Preach.
who we are. But in you know, the bigger there and the smaller there, and then when we understand who we are and we understand the life we're living and having the courage, and you're quite right, it does take courage to look at yourself, stand up for yourself. You can't stand up for the world if you can't stand up for yourself. But when you're ready to stand up for yourself and fight and change that which you have to change in order to be the person you really are, you then will have the courage to say, here I am. And it begins with the individual.
Everything starts with the individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we make the world. We are the world.
Yes, we are the universe. I love using this line from Carl Sagan. Again, I mean, one of the things that, as you could tell, that the world is full of knowledge and information, right? So I grab from everything. So Carl Sagan is one of my favorite human beings ever. He has this line: "We are a way for the universe to know itself."
Yes.
Right. And when you think about that, right, the universe is constantly evolving, constantly in the process of creation and destruction and all, and getting rid of the old, bringing in the new. Nothing is static in the universe. If it's static, it's gone. And so are we. I mean, we are in that constant thing. And I love that you said we are a reflection of the macro, right? Because I'll use that. But the macro has processes, right? It has that. It has opposing forces, right? Cycles, right? It has impulses to create and create and destruct. It's all those things. So it's almost like we got to take and start looking like scientists used to. What science is the process of looking outside, deducing information, figuring out why this happens. We have to take that same process, but within.
Yes.
Right. And then and from there, because once you understand, then you begin to grow your I am. So because answering that question of who I am really starts by looking at your outside world, the macro, right? And that's one of the things that we call perspective, right? You have to broaden your gaze, broaden your perspective, right? You have to look at your experiences and reflect on them properly to take out the essence of the lessons from those experiences, so that then you could create your own philosophy, your approach to life, right? So my philosophy will be different than your philosophy, right? But you have to create, and philosophy is nothing more than the love of knowledge. But we use philosophy as something that is the domain of an ivory tower, sages and all these, professors and all that stuff. And people are, oh my God, I can't do that, because it's like you got to think if then, using the logic models or anything. Philosophy started as Socrates just asking questions. What do you think of this? What's a good life? What is that? What is that? We have the freedom to do that. And from taking all this information in, you begin to find your essence, and then you begin to actually live from this point of view. Some people are stoic, some people are this, some people are that, but you have to find yours. And that's what we're concerned with.
And that is coming back to Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, all of those people who came to talk, and this is what they were saying: who are you? Man, know thyself. Sit down, understand, find, connect, believe, stand up, have that faith, take action.
That's it.
But it's to have that faith in who you are and what there is, and to believe. And once you have that belief, you then take action. And it's about taking action. And as you say, all these great people were there just to show us what they did, how they did, how they went about. And this is what they came to say: this is how I did it, and this is what I found out, and I'm sharing it with you. And this is this is the way that you can do it if you so want to. It's not by force, but just
Mhm.
showing you, because everything is free will.
Yep.
Try it,
Yep.
see what you get, and
Mhm.
you can achieve just as much. And coming back to when you say with Christ, Christ said, many will come after me and do better, do greater,
Correct.
because they're going through the process. They're going through the process, they're understanding, they're standing up, and then they're taking the action, which means
Mhm.
that as they are, so are we.
Yes. Yeah. And the beauty of it all, right, is that it's consistent all throughout.
Yes,
You pick a mythology from any particular country, and it's the same essence, right? Their individual's life, and then and what ends up happening, unfortunate, is kind of like the golden calf syndrome, right? We need something outside of us to worship or to find, and I call it, it's like holding on to an umbilical cord,
yeah,
right? It's like, and that, like, we need that. It's like, and I get it. The universe is so unpredictable, it is so awe striking, that we feel that we need to hold on to something,
thing.
right? Because of the fear of, oh my God, if I don't hold on to this, and what is the meaning of life, right? And what we have to is kind of like let go of that fear a little bit and explore what's inside of us, right?
Yes,
There's only two more places that we have left to just explore in this world, right? From where we are. One is outer space, right? But that's physical. And the only way that we've gotten there is by exploring within, right? If you think about it, the people that created mathematics, the people that created all this, they had to go in isolation from within to explore all this outside, being able to find it and be able to explain it. The next frontier, because of AI, because of all these things that we're seeing, is the inner exploration. That's a domain that we are only beginning to scratch the surface of. And spirituality, and again, this is why our world minimizes the work that you're doing, right? Because it's not science based, right?
yes.
But again, science is a process. What we have, we're starting to make science a religion, and
Yeah,
science is not a religion. Science is a process of understanding, evaluating, and all that. And there's nothing more powerful that we could use to begin to truly go
yes,
inside and use the scientific method to evaluate our lives. Because now we start going to what you mentioned. Oh my God, everything on earth contributes one way or the other, right? You look at an animal, you look at a plant, you look at something in the universe, in nature, it has a contribution
yes,
one way or another, right?
yes,
You know, a bear eats berries, it poops on the other side of another tree, and it expands, right? And you feel like, oh, that's an excrement, that's just pooping there, but
yeah,
it makes a contribution. What's your contribution?
tradition.
You're
Yeah,
feeling this.
yeah,
It's because you're not contributing the way you are meant to contribute,
yeah. It's like a
right?
bee leaving the hive and going to the flower. If the flower wasn't there, he can't go and take that pollen, and he takes that pollen and he comes back and he takes it to the hive and it makes the honey. And that honey is so medicinal for so many things that we can use.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
everything has a reason. Everything is
mm-hmm,
there for a reason.
mm-hmm.
And it's not good or bad. They all have their functions in their own way, and it makes this world go round.
And that's a beautiful analogy, because, for instance, what is the desire of the bee? The desire of the bee is simply to eat the nectar and bring it back to the queen,
Yeah.
right? That's the desire. But look at, as a consequence of their individual desire, look what it creates. Now,
Yes.
does that bee see the end result of
Yes.
us using it for medicinal purposes and all that stuff?
Yeah.
It doesn't
And
see it, but it just joyfully participates in what he does. And
yes,
that's what we have to get to.
to joyfully participate, joyfully look at ourselves, understand ourselves, and understand that we have a contribution, we have a gift. And in giving that gift and performing that gift, it helps others. It's a ripple effect. It goes on and
Mhm.
on and on, and can make heaven and earth. It's down to
That's it.
us. It's our
That's it.
our consciousness, how we look at things.
Mhm.
Omar and Jessie, this has been a lovely conversation. Now, you've spoken about your Soul's Quest. How does
Mhm.
that work? Please explain it to people. How can people contact you and how can they participate?
A Soul's Quest can be, the ASQ podcast. We have our own podcast. We're on YouTube, Spotify, all the social media outlets. You just type in a Soul's Quest or ASQ podcast. A couple of things that we're working on right now that are important that we really would like to highlight is that we are going to be having a webinar, and that will be on August 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, EDT, because we're in daylight savings, right?
Okay.
We're also
Mhm.
in the middle of, we're going to be launching a book in the next couple of months here. So we're in the works of that.
Yep. And so the book's name is A Soul's Quest, A Transformational Approach to Life. And the idea behind the book is to be able to use the concept of PEP, which is perspective, experience, and philosophy, just like I mentioned here, to be able to take the process of bringing you to the edge of understanding who you are, so that way you could begin to search for your point of expression in a more deliberate and tactful way. So that book is the purpose of that. Our webinar coming up on August 13th. The title of it is Who Am I Beyond the Illusion? Yeah, who am I beyond the illusion? And we're going to be really focusing on helping individuals identify what they are, right? And in that essence of what they are. And we'll utilize some tools that we've learned from different things that we have experienced. And but the purpose of it all is we want to bring people to the launching point, so they could start recreating and building a life, not from past ideas or conditioning, but from their essence,
Right.
right? And it's a tall order, but we got to take it. We got to take the challenge.
You have to. And
Yeah.
and how do they get to go to this seminar of yours? Is it through your website?
Yes, so they could do it in a couple of ways. They could visit asoulsquest.com. That will be another one. That will be one of the ways to look at. The other one is asqempowerment.com. You can look at that. Follow us on social media. We are on all social media. We're going to be putting some more information in there. But that is a way for them to connect with us, to be able to stay in touch with what we're saying and what we are doing.
Yeah.
All right. Now, before I say thank you and farewell, can you leave us with some little nuggets that will help people to look at their life and help them on that path? Some advice you can give them?
So I'll start really quick, just because I'm very, very new to this experience. I would say to people who, like Omar said, are waking up feeling panicked, who are not feeling motivated, not feeling like they're contributing in a way that they need to, don't turn away from that voice, that nudge, that feeling that you're getting. That is the call to the adventure. That is the frequency that you need to join. And to turn away from that is to essentially you're turning on yourself. You're turning away from who you really are and the beauty of that essence that you have. And so for me, as somebody who's just going through it, I invite people into our frequency, into that, to that platform, and share and be honest and open and vulnerable and courageous about this experience. So that's what that's what I have to say.
Pointing out, and I will second that by letting people know that again, like I identify what the soul was, right? Our impulses, our fears, and our minds. And our emotions and our mind. And the one tidbit that I will tell people is, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know the how. You just have to explore those things that are coming to you. The more that you explore it, the more that you confront it, the more that you face it, the more that it will be revealed to you. It's not mystery. It's really being present, right? And be able to see those things. And as you begin to see those things, magically the how begins to take place.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And that's one of the things. You don't have to know everything right now. Just begin to explore.
Well, Omar and Jessie, thank you very much for a very interesting podcast. I am going to give this out, of course, and the others will be able to hear what you said, and also they'll hear the advertisement for your upcoming seminar. And those who are listening, please, if this has struck a chord with you, please go to their website and please book in for their seminar. So from me, Denzi, at here in London, to Omar and Jessie, they're in Florida, lovely sunny Florida. London is having good weather too now, you know.
I heard.
We're in the 30s at the moment. It's quite cool. It's come down much to people's relief, but it's going to rise up again. So for now, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Omar and Jessie. And to everybody, have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.
Absolutely. Take care. Thank you.